If you could just film here and let me just come in so it looks like it starts. Maybe a round of applause. When I was When I was 10, I started my first schemes for making money. I sold a tabloid newspaper and I sold seeds and Christmas magazines. And I worked in a locksmith shop and I started to buy equipment for recording and I started to buy equipment for recording and reproducing sound, a tape recorder, a Philips N22. It looked almost futuristic in its silver and black plastic, and the handle was integrated into the design, and when one pulled out the handle and carried the machine, the plastic against plastic made a kind of squeaky sound that I'd never heard before. But quite soon the buttons would fall off, but one could still use the N22. One just had to put one's fingers deeper into the machine. This was typical of Philips products. Things fell off or broke off, but one just had to buy Philips. Everyone bought Philips It was the great funky patriarch of consumer electronics. Also my father bought Philips. He had a jet set stereo with a display window with green light, indicating all the functions that were turned on. The functions were in boxes, all with rounded edges, and there were interconnecting lines in between the boxes, showing how the various functions were interrelated. But quite soon the volume fader broke off, and one had to adjust the volume with a screwdriver. This was typical of Philips products. Things fell off or broke off, but one just had to buy Philips. Everyone bought Philips. It was the great funky patriarch of consumer electronics. Now, I don't know if anyone know about Elvis Presley's favorite sandwich. Has anyone heard about Elvis Presley's favorite sandwich? Yes. Yes. And what does Elvis Presley's favorite sandwich consist of? Bacon and bacon and peanut butter, yeah, bacon and peanut butter and banana. Exactly, bacon and peanut butter and banana. So you can imagine that, like, when Elvis Presley was in the process of consuming the sandwich, that was almost like Norway. Because you know that the most famous experts from Norway are oil, that is fat, and black metal rock music. So you have the sandwich and Elvis, fat meeting rock and roll. Norway, fat meeting rock and roll. And of course, this is what I think of when I come to Norway, and I don't come that very often to Norway because I can't afford to come to Norway, because I'm not from Switzerland. So this is what I'm thinking of. This is Norway, and then I thought, I was, in order not to be so nervous, I thought I should, take a little walk around sort of, midday, when I was about to say when there's daylight. It's not daylight, it's like nightlight, and because it's not day, it's like it's night. Although there's some light, and so I don't know what to call this, because it's like not in the middle of the night, but it's sort of either in the beginning or the start of the night. So it's sort of off night. It's sort of off night, like off Broadway. It's off night. So I decided to take a walk. In those sort of 1.5 hour, you can see things for 1.5 hour, and then I come to the main square, and there is the Tromsø Cathedral, and this is in wood. and I've never seen a cathedral in wood. And of course, I'm surprised also, you know, it's a cathedral in wood, and it's a cathedral in wood that hasn't been burned down. You know, so two surprising things there. And then I scan the main square. I think this is the main square, right? What is it called? Yeah, okay, the big square, main square. I grew up in Helsingborg, Stortorget. That's the main square. That's where the statue of Magnus Stenbock is, the guy who threw out the Danes from Helsingborg in South Sweden. He's sort of facing Denmark at Stortorget in Helsingborg. So I scan it and I see like one other important building at this square, slightly to the left of the cathedral. And so it looks like this. We have the cathedral here to the left, and then we have like a very big building. It's probably the biggest building in central Tromsø. And you, of course, you all know, if you're from here, that this building is the savings. It's a savings bank. And I'm very happy that it's a savings bank. It's like not the Danske Bank or any other like purely capitalistic bank. This is a savings bank that, at least in the good old days, you know, was something else. Probably not now, but it reminds us of a time where things, you know, where one had, you know, a vision of another society. So, you know, if you were a farmer and you wanted to buy a new plow, of course you're not plowing here because it's, you know, it's permafrost. If you were a fisherman, and you wanted to buy a new boat, you would go to the savings bank. And then if you'd been saving for 12 years, they might consider your request. So I decided to take a look at this bank. And then sort of, you know, this is the main entrance of the savings bank. And they forgot to take down, you know, the Christmas star here. But look at the star. You know, it's a satanic star. It's a satanic pentagram because it's pointing downwards, you know. And of course we know that Tromsø is a very important town, city. It's a city because there's a cathedral. This, you know, you will get nothing from this performance at all. But I used to be an English teacher, so a city, the difference, you know, the difference between a city and a town. A city has a cathedral. You know, if it's not big enough to have a cathedral, it's a town. It's just a town. So at least, you know, that was one useful thing you got there. So and we know that, you know, already from, you know, back even from the 70s, Tromsø has, in relation to its size, been a fantastic place for popular music. You know, it's like the Brighton or Glasgow of Norway. That's Tromsø. And obviously this is the bank who's been financing the black metal bands from Tromsø, quite surely. So of course I was interested in further exploring this scene, so I went to the local music shop, which surely should then be, you know, a center for this black metallic satanic activity. And I must say I was in the beginning a little bit disappointed, because they were just like these sweet, funny, you know, guitar sculptures. You know, this knekkebrød, the knekkebrød guitar. What is knekkebrød in Norwegian? Yeah. So this is the knekkebrød guitar, more Swedish than Danish, I'd say. Even, you know, their knekkebrød is from the west of Sweden, but still. Are you of the? Do you think knekkebrød is Norwegian? No. Okay. So, okay. So we don't have to argue about that. I have two guitars. They've printed two guitars for me here. I don't know why. They printed. Everything's been printed on two sides just to make. That's why I was so confused, and still am. And here then, surely a Norwegian touch here with the knitted guitar, strikkegitar. And you know, the guy in the store, he had no tattoos in his face, no piercing, not even black clothes. You know, which everyone working in a guitar store, of course, has. But then I found this notice, and I'm going to read it to you. Excuse my Norwegian. I'll translate it as well. So this is a sign in the guitar store, by the guitars, very close to the guitars, in sort of like a defense works, like a mental defense works in between the guitars and the amplifiers. So if you would go from a guitar, go and take a guitar and go towards an amplifier, you would surely. There were several issues of this sign, by the way, and it says like this: Låter det ikke lov til at spille I butikken. Songs that are not allowed to be played in the store. All these titles are in English, so I don't have to translate them. Stairway to Heaven. Still Got the Blues. Sweet Child of Mine. Alt av Metallica. Alt av AC/DC. Smoke on the Water. Crazy Train. I don't know that one.
Also Osbourne.
Thank you. American Idiot. Don't know that one. Sorry?
No, I don't know.
No one knows American Idiot. Sorry?
Green Day.
Green Day. Don't know that band. And Boys Are Back in Town. And of course, this more or less excludes, all of hard rock music and metal music, apart from black metal. Now, my mother moved out of the house this year, so I had to go through, the archives, so to say, and I found these old drawings, which I hadn't seen for a very, very long time, and which, was made when I was like young, really, and we can see that I actually had, at an early age, an interest in oil and its distribution network, because I found this drawing here, where the oil is shipped in here to this then oil container here. This is a British Petroleum. It says BP here, and then of course, there's a Citroën car here, because that's the car my father had. So we can follow the whole system of the economics of oil is working, and I was not into metal when I was a child. I was like a proper child, as you can see here, a lovely, nice, proper child, but I was still interested in things coming out of loudspeakers. So I was a shortwave listening radio enthusiast. Listening. This is a radio. It's like not connecting to any. It's not connected to the internet. This is just like signals, radio signals coming through the air into this device, and then one could hear, football from Brazil, all kinds of exotic things. This was very exciting, and I was like in no sense a revolutionary, because my father had been doing exactly the same thing. And he had even become Swedish champion of shortwave radio listening. You can see here are prizes he got. Niftily enough, sponsored by the Swedish Losange company Läkerol. That's nifty. But then something happened, and he didn't even I mean, he not only got these, I'm not sure what this, cups, it's called cups in English, because, Stanley Cup and blah, blah, blah. He didn't only get these cups, pokaler we say in Swedish. Yeah, pokaler, yeah. But he got like proper prizes. So this huldra, which sometimes Tandberg called their products Huldra. I don't know how that worked out. Maybe there had been some fusion. We can't go into that. Was something he won. Also, this television set here, which he got already in the 50s. But something, you know, when they actually then started to broadcast programming for the TV, my father sort of moved left and, you know, got stuck in front of the TV, where he sort of got, you know, stuck for the rest of his life. Now, I was very critical of TV, which you can see here on this drawing here, which is a drawing of the family, the first color TV, which we got in 1976, where Sweden already had 2 channels. There's a 2 here. And this was a time where TV still could afford to just show a clock, you know, for a few minutes. And people, you know, would patiently sit and wait for the next program, looking at the clock, just like you looked at my preparations for this performance, not daring to leave because maybe you thought there was some sort of meta level of the performance, which it wasn't. However, you know, there would be no meta level inserted, you know, before this clock, you know, turned 8. But I was like, already at this age, I thought this was like superficial. You know, I was about to become one of those kids that read Kafka. I don't know this yet, but I have a feeling that this is not satisfying. This is not existentially satisfying because this is not a real program. This is like an irony I've put here. I've really tried this is not ironical. I've tried my best to draw this TV, but the title is irony. So I'm already there working with language and text, which I'm still trying to do. Because it says, om att koka soppa på en spik. Om att koka soppa på en spik. To boil soup on a piece of nail. That is like, there's no spiritual, there's no intellectual, there's no existential nourishment to be gotten from the Swedish TV. And still I was interested in sort of the technicalities of it. So this is a drawing of the Olympic Games in Innsbruck. But it's like not a drawing of the Olympic Games in Innsbruck, it's like the drawing of the television broadcast of the Olympic Games in Innsbruck. So there's a meta level here. And I'm interested in the technical detail. Here's a cameraman working on the broadcast of the Olympic Games in Innsbruck in standard definition. But mostly I was like I was into things that came out of loudspeakers. This interested me, and this is like a glam rock guitar player. You see there are platform shoes here, and he's got makeup. Here's a drawing of the technical setup of the Suite, a sort of glam rock band for children, really, in the mid 70s. And in the far back, I have to tell you how it looks like. So it's like 4 men in platform shoes. I never thought the bass player was interesting in any band. I didn't understand what the bass did. So it's the singers, the guitar player is the drummer, and there's the keyboard player. And you can actually see all the cables going from the microphones and the instruments into these amplifiers here. And there's even like the sound level meters on the amplifiers. And I'm so concerned about how the technical setup works that I've forgotten to sort of draw the legs of the drummer here. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.